This channel's for adults and not for kids. Hey guys, thanks for stopping back by. So I had something cool I wanted to show you guys today. I think I've told you guys before in the past that when it comes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I am a fan of the original comic book. Pretty much the first issue, because it was just like a one-shot. They didn't know what it was going to turn into, but that very first comic book is pretty awesome. And I was a little kid in junior high when it came out, and you know, being a comic book fan, it was cool to see them sort of tongue-in-cheek paying homage to Daredevil, and it was so cool. And it had this awesome bad guy called Shredder, and he was drawn like this amazing looking ninja, and it was just a great comic book. And then it was over, and it was awesome. But it caught on like a wildfire, and you know, here we are like 40 plus years later, and it's still going strong. I liked the original comic book, and then I liked a few of the issues that came after it. But that's about where my love for Ninja Turtles stops. I really love the original artwork. I do not like all that pizza-eating, cowabunga, bright colors bullshit that Ninja Turtles turned into. I like the original grim, gritty, dark comic book that it was. So when I collect Ninja Turtle stuff, it's always got to be the OG stuff. And this figure here is April, back when, let's see, so this April O'Neil is back from issue 4. I think originally April showed up in issue number 2, and she had more, you know, like straight hair. And then when she popped up again in issue 4, she pretty much looked like this with the curly hair. And, you know, she's drawn like this sort of beautiful Latina lady. And she's basically based on Kevin Eastman's girlfriend at the time, which was, I believe her name was April Fisher. And not only did Eastman sort of base her name, April, after the real life April, but basically her look too. And if you look up photos of April Fisher, I think that's her last name, she looked like this. She had long, pretty, curly hair, sort of Italian looking, sort of Latina. She could even be black. She's just got a very pretty look to her, and I'm all for it. I really like this version of April. But yeah, this is when April showed up in, like I said, issue 4, and she wasn't some stupid reporter dressed in a god-awful bright yellow jumpsuit. She was a fucking like computer programmer. She worked for Baxter Stockman, and she was, you know, helping him build the Mausers before, you know, she realized that Baxter Stockman was no good, and the Mausers were chewing their way into banks, and Baxter was a bad guy stealing money. Anyway, this April was very cool. Like I said, she was sort of like a scientist, a computer programmer. She was very cool. And I do not like what they did with the character, making her have short hair and yellow jumpsuit and running around TV reporter. That's not my cup of tea. This figure was part of NECA's haul-a-thon with Target. And the minute she went up for sale, I logged on to Target's website, and it fucking sold out in like 3 seconds. So I have a Target right down the street from my work, and I went there at lunchtime, and sure enough, they had 4 Aprils left, and I grabbed one. and she's super cool. I like the black lines on everything that make it look like comic art, you know? Like even her face has those black lines around her lips and her shirt and her neck. So freaking cool. Um, so I picked up this figure and I was like, well, how could I do a review of just April? Because I don't think I've ever shown you guys any turtle stuff. I might have, but I don't remember doing it. So I'm going to show you guys my turtle collection. It's not that big of a collection, but I mean, I have a giant bag full of my old school Ninja Turtles from when I was a kid. Maybe I'll show those in a different video. And I've got some of the 1/6 scaled Mondo turtles, and I could show you guys those. But as far as like modern collecting of turtles, I only have a few. So let's start off with my favorite turtle. These were made by NECA way back in 2008. I love these turtles because they look just like that original comic book. The artwork is awesome, and these turtles look dead on like the comic book. They look like they stepped right off the page. They each come with their own little base. And see, they have the black line work on them too. It looks just like comic book art. You can find knockoffs of these. Pretty much that's the only way you're going to find these. These original NECA ones go for stupid money now. But you can find knockoffs of these. And I've held a couple of them. They're not that bad of quality. They actually feel kind of good. They don't feel that cheap. But you can find those on Mercari. You can find them on eBay. But yeah, that's going to be your safest bet if you want to grab some of these, is trying to go the bootleg route. But yeah, like I said, these came out, look at that, he comes with a little light. These came out in 2008. And they look incredible. Running out of room here. Oops. Doesn't that look awesome? The detail on them is pretty amazing. And they all have the same bandana like they did in the original comic book. They're ninja. They're not flavors of ice cream. They don't have, you know, blueberry, strawberry, lime, and vanilla. They're just ninja. And I like them all like that, with the same color bandana. I think that's pretty awesome. And then, like I said, I just picked up April. And this April is pretty cool. She comes with, oh damn, I can't think of his name right now, but he's like Krang. He's one of the aliens like Krang, but this is a good guy. And he's got this hat, and he's actually an archaeologist. And so he comes with a little brush for dusting away, you know, sand and dust when he's looking for bones and such. He comes with a little pickaxe. He comes with like a little can of poison to spray on the sand fleas when he's excavating something. And he comes with this a little tiny specimen jar. I think that's what that is. And a little itty bitty freaking tiny pipe. God damn, that thing's small. But and he comes with another tentacle, a circle, you know, one that's in a circle so he can hold that little jar. And you can put the pipe in his mouth. But yeah, he can hold all that stuff with these little posable tentacles of his. That's pretty awesome. I forget his name, so somebody can tell me down in the comments. I know somebody watching this will know. But he's basically a little archaeologist. He's a good guy. Somebody that's not a good guy, though, is Krang. And he's pretty awesome looking. And that Krang came with this awesome shredder. And I believe this shredder was a Comic-Con exclusive. This wasn't easy to get back in the day. I know they have shredders that are way more easily available now, but this shredder you had to jump through some hoops to get. There is a version of April O'Neil with the straight hair, and she's in like a blue jumpsuit, and I believe she came out the same time this shredder did. I do not have her. I would like to get her, but that goddamn figure goes for like $200 now, and I am not spending that on a, you know, April figure. Come on, Shredder. So that is the extent of my turtle collection. I mean, not including my, you know, I have, like I said, I have a giant, well, maybe a couple big Ziploc bags filled with turtles from my childhood. And then I've got a couple of those big Mondo-sized turtles. I have Donatello and I think Michelangelo from Mondo. But as far as like action figures go, I pretty much, like I said, just stick to classic turtles. And I've got just about everybody I want. I could get a Casey Jones. That would be cool to have like the 4 turtles, April, Casey, and the Shredder. So I could see myself picking up Casey, and I could see myself picking up a Foot Soldier, but other than that, I think I'm good. But yeah, there's nothing like that original comic book. And, you know, it wasn't silly. It wasn't stupid. There was no pizza bullshit, no cowabunga, none of that stuff. It was just an amazing comic book put out by some comic nerds themselves that just loved what they were doing. And it showed. And, yeah, very, very cool. Anyway, guys, let me know if you dig the original incarnation of the Turtles. Let me know if you own these figures or if you've seen the bootleg ones. And let me know if any of you guys would like to see those Mondo, you know, like 13-inch tall ones. All right, guys, I'll be back with some more cool monsters and ninjas and mutants and all that good stuff that we're into. Hang in there. As always, happy Halloween.